Welcome. Welcome to the Blue versus Green show. I am your host, one of them at least, as you guys can see that there are three of us on your screen. I'm Gabe, and I'm joined by Jose and Walt. Say what's up.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
It's going down.
JETS Jets.
Ha ha ha. We're going to talk a little bit about Giants and Jets, specifically the final preseason game, which is also kind of a little bit of a preview of the in-season game that we're going to have this year. Jets and Giants faced each other yesterday for the, or not yesterday, by the time that you guys see this, it'll be 2 days from now, in their final preseason game. And it was also the very first time that we got a chance to see Aaron Rodgers play in a Jets uniform. How about that? So let's go ahead and get right into it. Guys, what did you guys think? Jose, we didn't get a chance to actually talk about the game. Why don't you start it off?
That was a fun game to watch. I had to watch the condensed version again because we took Dad.
Fun for you.
It was fun for me. It was very fun. We're gonna get to how and why and what made that game fun to watch, and what was interesting about some of the decisions that were made. I think in that game as well. But we were at the Atlanta United football with a U football, Spanish football game with Dad. My wife and I, we took him to the game since they're visiting out here. So I was catching the game on my phone, and I saw the Jets get out to an early lead. It was interesting to me. Like, one of the interesting things was, like, I know that Daniel Jones has played prior to this in the preseason. He got his warm-ups, but I'm struggling to understand why you wouldn't want to at least get him a series against this defense and really test him against probably the best defense that he had seen this preseason so far. I know that Daniel Jones has been repping it and killing it, in my opinion, as well. Like, in the limited action that we've seen him, he's looked like a pro. Like we talked last week about, like, whether or not he's a top 10 quarterback. I don't think that he is either, but I think that this season is where he might creep into that conversation.
It's crazy.
I know that it's crazy, but you could
into the conversation.
It would take a moment, but we could probably all name 10 quarterbacks that are better than him, at least on paper. I want to be clear about that too, right?
Yes.
So that game was fun to watch. We got out to that quick lead. Aaron Rodgers looked sharp. Actually, he looked a little rough on the first series, but he got it together, and they had that great touchdown connection with Garrett Wilson. The depth of the Giants, again, was kind of a concern with me, although not playing first team, like I said, was interesting. Not playing any first teamer at all. Playing DJ, notwithstanding. The fact that nobody played was interesting to me. I mean, like, I feel like you wanted to test that competition and show out against the Jets in this preseason game. But Daboll's a great coach, and maybe his entire mindset behind that is kind of what seems like it's always been. He's playing his cards, or saving his cards, for when it really matters during the season. But it was an awesome game to watch. I've watched it a couple of times on the replay, and it made me continually confident about my team. And you guys are going to have a great season too. You know, I said that you're going to have that. I think I said it was an 11-6 season, right? I think you're going to hit the playoffs. I think you're going to have a good season. But the weaknesses are still showing a little bit, you know, like, and I really wanted to see, like I said, the strengths. I wanted to see the DJs. I wanted to see some of the first teamers, but I didn't really get to see that yesterday against the Jets.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, Walt and I were actually at the game. We got a chance to kind of visit MetLife, probably our only chance to see Aaron Rodgers in person against the Giants, as tickets are insane already for that Jets Giants game, which it's a Jets home game, right? That game.
No, it's a Giants home game
also.
Yes.
Oh man.
So
I figured since they made the preseason game a Giants game, that they would make the other one a Jets home game.
yeah.
Anyway, I went there hoping that we'll see at least one series of DJ versus Aaron. You know, just kind of hype up the fans and everything. But the more I think about it, the more it makes sense that, you know, if the biggest weaknesses are depth, then what we need to do is kind of give our second team, third teams as many reps as possible that don't necessarily count. And I can see that this is the main reason why Maybe Dable didn't put out any first teamers, didn't put out DJ, because it's really, if I'm Dable and I have to weigh, the priorities, like these guys over here, first team, we know that they're fine. They're going to be good enough. The first few games in the season are preseason games anyway, if you think about it, really. It's going to take 2 to 3 weeks for the teams to kind of really get their groove. But it's the second stringers, third stringers that we need to first figure out who we're going to, and second off, who who need the most amount of reps before the season starts. If DJ and our first team O line and defensive, they are going to be able to kind of catch up to speed quicker, then who here needs an extra 2 to 3 weeks in order to kind of get back up? And this is where I think, if this is the last chance that they have at getting those freebie reps, you could say, why not? So I still would have liked to have seen DJ out there for one series, but it also wasn't necessary. So, especially considering that we're gonna face you guys, and by all public accounts, we're the underdogs here. So why show our cards?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think maybe yesterday was more of a thing where it's like, you know what, like you said, DJ doesn't need reps with the first team because basically it's essentially the same team that they're bringing back from last year, right? Except for a couple of vital cogs here, Darren Waller, Jalen Hyatt, but essentially everybody else is back from last year. So there's no need to get familiar with those guys because they've done it already, So there wasn't that motivation from Dayball to bring in his starters, especially on the offense. I think the reverse is true for the Jets. I think it was imperative for them to bring Aaron Rodgers in, and he was there for what, two, three series, if I remember correctly.
It was 2 series, no?
It was 2 series, right?
2 series, yeah.
Yeah, but you can tell that there's still a long way to go with the offense getting to know each other, because even though Aaron Rodgers was 4 of 7, there were some missteps there. He missed a wide open Garrett Wilson across the middle, and I think with him getting more playing time with these guys. Also. Yeah,
missed him on the edge too. Yeah,
missed him a couple of times, and I think that's part of the reason why you have to have Aaron Rodgers there playing.
There's that misstep with Uzoma as well.
This is the thing that's gonna kind of plague the Jets for the first month or so, is that them learning Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers learning them, right? And I think that's why it was important for Aaron Rodgers to play, and you saw it because there was a couple of plays that they kind of looked a little shaky, right? The second series was better than the first, but still. With the Giants, it was all about just finding out who's making the 53-man squad. That really was what that game was for them. Yeah. It wasn't, a kind of like dusting off the rust for them. It was just about, are guys like David Sills going to make the roster? Are guys like James Robinson is going to make the roster? Carter Coughlin, who played a really great game, is he making the 53-man roster? That was what that game was for Daboll and the Giants yesterday. And some of those guys showed out and some of them didn't. So
yeah, you're right about that. And it's funny because it was the first time that well, for you it's the second time that you've ever been to a Giants game, but it's the first time that we go to one together. How was the experience for you exactly? I thought it was amazing. Even though the Giants ended up on the short end of the stick of the scoreboard on that game, I thought it was a really awesome time. I really hope that I get to go to a actual Giants game this season. Not sure if I'm going to be able to, but I'm hoping I can scrunch up some scratch in order to get like a decent ticket.
Those
nosebleeds.
Those nosebleeds are insane right now. I mean, it's making the ticket sales at the beginning of the year, and resale value. Like when I first started looking at it, was like $200. those things are now at 350, and those are the nosebleed. Those are the 300 series tickets.
Yeah,
It's
I know. Which honestly aren't
$350.
that bad. They're not that bad. I do wish I kind of brought some binoculars. Binocs, like some of the folk near us. You can see some of the guys are veteran, 300 seaters.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, speaking of which, speaking about Cut Day is this Tuesday.
that's right.
It's regarded as the absolute worst day in the entire NFL season. Um, and you had mentioned something interesting. I don't know if you picked up on that, Jose, as well, but apparently the Jets, specifically with Hard Knocks, have already told Hard Knocks people that this is the one day that you guys are not allowed to have cameras here. You're not going to film our players, going through cut day and stuff. I
Right.
thought that was a really interesting kind of thing, like good on Salah and the Jets organization on making sure you're protecting, the I guess the yeah, I guess just protecting the team. There was a specific word that I was looking for there, but what do you guys think of that? And that being said, like, is there anybody that you guys think should get cut, most likely will get cut, might get cut that you don't want to get cut? Who there are you guys looking forward to, or I guess not looking forward to, but what are you guys thinking about cut?
Okay, so the I wasn't aware of that. I didn't know that was the decision made on Hard Knocks, and good on Salah, good on the Jets organization, good on everyone involved who greenlit that and said, like, let's not do a few things. Let's not expose the team and make the team look bad in any way, like you said, Gabe. But also, this is for protecting these young players. You don't want to make them look bad in any way. You don't want to, like, film their reaction and have them, like, maybe they're going to get a little upset, and these things happen when you're a young player. You know what I mean? You don't want that on their resume really anywhere or out there in video to embarrass that player as well, one way or the other. And I think it was a great decision for them to do that. Whew. As far as, see, this has been the toughest thing, but, like, you got to get rid of a running back, all right? Like, when you're the Jets, at least on the Jets end of the season, we're stacked at running back. And I said this before. I think, unfortunately, I don't want to cut him, but you have to cut Michael Carter as one of the running backs in the running backs. I mean,
Okay.
in terms of production in the preseason, in terms of his production last year, like, reducing after his first season as a young player, but still one of the older players in that running back room, at least, like, other than like Dalvin Cook, who's the veteran at this point, but still also a young running back. But in terms of like the value of the player long term, in terms of the age, in terms of what their potential value will be in a couple of years, like, Carter is a player who might be a leading running back in a running back room somewhere else. I don't know if you can trade him, with this much time left till cut day. And I think that every other running back has really established themselves, Bam Knight and everybody else, has done, like, a great job to establish themselves as someone that deserves the job. At least that's me. So I know Carter's a great leader. He's got potential, but, like, I just don't see where he fits into this scheme.
What about the Giants? Anybody on the Giants, or you just kind of like haven't really focused too much on the Giants and looking kind of paid attention to the Jets roster? I know it's tough, to look at both, or even to have, like, an opinion on the not your team. But anybody on the Giants specifically that you think should not make the cut?
I think it's a running back also on the Giants. I spoke about Jayshon Corbin a couple of weeks ago being one of the only Giants to, like, break a big run in this preseason. But he hasn't, for lack of a better way to put it, he hasn't done shit since. He's been awful ever since. You know what I mean? And Gray has established himself as a better runner, as somebody that's better at catching the pass as well. You know what I mean? He's got more ability on both sides of the offense. And then former Jet Robinson showed out yesterday and showed why he probably deserves to be in that running back room. Somebody that could take more pressure off of Saquon as well, and a solid runner for the Jets last season, a pretty solid runner. So I think
you saw
it's two
Robertson. You
running
saw
backs.
Robertson carry like 5 Jets and still wasn't able to get taken down. I don't know if that was on the Jets
Yeah.
or the fact that he was able to he just that just looked like some fundamental football of like, all right, no, this is how you just got to stay up, just stay standing, little baby steps, but just stay standing.
He was
That was impressive
churning.
on the replay. Yeah,
He was moving his
know,
legs. So
Former
those
team
some heavy
syndrome too,
boys.
right?
Those some heavy boys, and he's carrying that whole squad on his back.
That's the former team thing too, right? He's like,
Yeah,
I'm
it
gonna
could be
show out
that too.
on these
It could
guys.
be, maybe his mental game is on like, like these Jets ain't gonna bring me down. They cut me, no way.
Like I'm making the Giants, and I'm gonna like fuck these guys up whenever chance I get. But I know it's controversial, but that's what I think on both sides.
His time with the Jets was not a good one. So I totally see him saying, you know what, fuck you, Jets. So
yeah,
definitely,
you won't.
I agree with Jose on the Jets in terms of position. The person, the position where there is going to be some cuts made. I disagree strongly with who it is. I think Michael Carter, he's solid. He's not going anywhere. The fact that he hasn't played at all in the preseason, that to me kind of lends itself that his job is safe. I actually think it's Bam Knight.
You did mention that yesterday.
Yeah, he played sparingly yesterday, but I think it's Bam Knight that's the one that's gonna get the walking papers here. Bam Knight has not had a good preseason. He had a chance in the game before against the Bucks to kind of like, cement that status, and he did not have a good game. He had a bunch of drops in that game. He had a fumble. He really didn't do anything to kind of like put himself above and beyond any of the players. So I really do think that it's Bam Knight that's probably going to get cut for the Jets in that running back room, because Dalvin Cook is set, Breece Hall is set, Michael Carter is a player that to me brings a lot of leadership, and a lot of the team looks up to him, and I think that's something that Saleh values, those high character guys. And so for me, I think that Michael Carter is safe, and it's Bam Knight that's gonna be the one that unfortunately gets the walking papers. For the Giants, I was watching the offensive line with a lot of interest yesterday. And you know how I am with the Giants and the offensive line. And they kind of struggled yesterday because a lot of the time the quarterbacks were under immense pressure from the Jets defensive line.
They were early on and late.
Yeah, one guy
and just real quick, just to butt in on that. One thing that I noticed, the most pressure came in the beginning of the first quarter and in the beginning of the second half.
Right.
I don't know if this is I guess maybe a O-line's just not like meant to, at least the second and third team guys. Maybe they're just not veteran enough to kind of get out that locker room and get to work right away, and they need a few series in order to kind of get themselves set, because in the middle it wasn't too bad. But early on in both halves, there was just a lot of pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, and I will say this: it's kind of unfair to really grade the offensive line against the Jets' defensive line, because, quite truthfully, a lot of those guys that are playing backups for the defensive line of the Jets, they could be starting on other teams. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to grade on them. But there's one guy in particular that I saw that I really wasn't too crazy about. That's number 74, and I think his name is Matt Hurt. He struggled tremendously on the offensive line for the Giants. He was constantly, letting pressure go by him. I think he's definitely a guy that you're not going to see on the Giants next this coming Tuesday. He's among those guys. There are obviously other people, because you're talking about you're going from 90 to 53 in one shot, right? But he's the guy that, I was kind of taking a look at yesterday, and I'm like, oh, this guy's struggling. So, he may not make the squad, in my opinion.
Yeah. For me, so I think for the Jets, it's kind of tough. It's tough because I think that I think that the Jets squad was already kind of set even before preseason started. I think that they did a great job. I think that they already had all the pieces that they needed last year, and the only issue that they needed was to maybe make sure that that they could still keep the depth that they had last year. But the only hole they needed to plug was really the quarterback. Everything else was pretty set, and I think that it shows in the preseason games. Nothing changed as far as really the cadence of the players. Maybe giving Zach a little bit more reps out there, just kind of get a little bit more comfortable with the new scheme and I guess new player coach Aaron Rodgers in his ear. And then yesterday was obviously about getting Aaron Rodgers a few reps because honestly, yeah, he did look a little rough in that first series. I also don't think that second series was that good.
It wasn't. It
but
wasn't.
but as you mentioned yesterday, on the ride home and everything,
Shaking off the rust.
it's better to shake it off now, especially considering who your first opponent is in the Bills, than have to try to shake it off then.
Right.
But as far as cuts go, I can't really. I mean, I think it's going to be more of a rudimentary cut day for the Jets. It's going to be kind of preserve the majority of your team from last year. I also agree with Walt. I think Carter is staying. It does make sense that if it kind of like Daniel Jones didn't see much play time, it's because they already have the decision on Daniel Jones. So it might be the kind of the same thing with Carter. And then with the Giants, yesterday I think was more of a tryout day. And kind of thinking about that in hindsight, Tyrod Taylor only had two plays yesterday. He did not do well in either of those plays, but they pulled him out, right after that, and then they just gave the rest of the game to DeVito. And
Vito
part
was
of me,
awesome.
yeah, DeVito was amazing. Part of me is like, all right, well, that's because they saw enough to say that, all right, Tyrod is going third string / practice. Okay. I hope that that's what it is. But it could also be that, like, all right, we give him some reps. He's still our number 2 guy, you know, and it might still have been the Vito's tryout. And I think that if that's the case, I think the Vito made probably like one of the best cases for staying on the team. I really, really hope they don't cut him. The more and more I read online, the more that others are saying that DeVito's going to get cut. I would say that I think it's kind of dumb to
Really?
cut DeVito. Yeah, I think that it's dumb to cut DeVito. I've never ever have had faith in Tyrod Taylor, and the main reason for it is because I just feel like he's not big enough for the position. I feel like he can't see over everyone the way that uh, Daniel Jones and now DeVito can. DeVito is a pretty big guy himself, which is why
Mm.
I think that also the other thing that we saw yesterday is that we saw them kind of try to play DeVito the way they play Daniel Jones. Some QB designed run plays, times that he had to kind of like run with the ball, and he did a really good job protecting the ball. He looked the most like a quarterback that he looked like Daniel Jones. And if you're gonna go and have a basically a backup to Daniel Jones, I mean, not basically, that's what he is. Why not have someone that's kind of more or less a mirror image of him, so that nothing else changes in the scheme, so that the team, if the need arises, the team doesn't feel like they have to adjust to the quarterback. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
You want to be able to have a backup that
that is a
knows
true
the
backup.
system, that
Right?
right, knows the system and is as similar as your quarterback, because you want to have that continuity with your players also, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't help that if you have a backup quarterback and he's totally different from your guy. Now all of a sudden when you pop him in there, your wide receivers aren't comfortable with that type of skill set that he has,
Right.
So
Right.
absolutely, I agree. If you're gonna have a backup, have him similar to your guy.
Yeah, and so then as far as cuts, actual cuts, that was just more of a like, please, I hope that they don't cut him. But if they do, I think that he's gonna have. I think that he showed so much this preseason in these 3 games that he can be a starting quarterback in some of these teams that are desperate to fill some shoes in there. So I do agree with Jose that that Corbin should get cut. I think that Robinson did an amazing job. I think that he if anything edged out the position and should be the one that's on the team. He
Yeah.
showed versatility. He showed that he's a threat. The tape on Robinson will make it difficult for teams to just kind of single him out on the field, especially when you consider, we didn't really see this entire squad on the field. But if you have Jones, Waller, Barkley, and even Robinson on the field, it's just, well, who's running the ball? And next thing you know, Jones is passing it to Waller. You just have no idea. It just becomes such a threat to have all these pieces on the field that I think that it'll be the service to take Robinson out, especially considering the injury history of Saquon.
Right.
And
he
then,
is a former 1,000-yard rusher, so that
yeah,
also helps his cause too.
yeah, so you have someone that's also tried and true, right? So, and I think that one of our biggest issues last year was depth in the running back room too. So, I would not like to see and Corbin, yeah, Corbin. I don't think that there's anything special about Corbin. Corbin, I feel like nobody really kind of like is threatened by him on the field once he's playing. And then wide receivers. I mean, this is a tough one. I want to say Jamison Crowder should be out. And I would really like to see a space for David Sills, the fifth.
Yes.
Yesterday, David Sills, he really showed out. Another guy that has hops that can pull the ball in, that can make a play when it needs to be made and stuff. So you saw DeVito just target him all day, which goes to another point that I was trying to make yesterday. It seems like Danny Jones has his dance partner in Waller. It seems like that's his favorite target. DeVito has his dance partner in Sills. I would hate to see them get broken up. Tyrod Taylor doesn't seem like he's comfortable with any receivers. He doesn't seem like he has that's my guy. That's who I'm going to. When I'm playing, that's the guy I want in. It doesn't seem like he's comfortable there. So it might even be something with Tyrod Taylor. I feel like it's something that he's just never felt comfortable, maybe even on the Giants, to be honest.
And you and I, we both made mention, right? We were looking both at the broadcast when they were showing it. Taylor doesn't seem like he has he doesn't feel comfortable on the sidelines either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was kind of a little bit of a sad moment.
It was very sad. Like, I mean,
it,
you only saw the condensed version, so there's a couple things that you might have missed. One of the things too that I noticed that like as soon as Aaron Rodgers was out of excuse me, Cat.
Wait, was there like a sad Keanu like Tyrod Taylor moment or something that I didn't see?
Sort of. That was Hina, by the way, for those of you guys out there that are cat lovers.
The official cat of the Blue versus Green show.
So what it is that all right, so a couple things that you missed. We'll go back to Tyrod Taylor in a moment, but as soon as Aaron Rodgers was out, it was headset on, and you would just see him like speaking into the mic, to
clipboard.
So player coach right there, which is really, really interesting.
Patting everybody coming off the bench.
With Tyrod Taylor, like a couple times, maybe more towards the end of the game, but just like you would see him, like off to the side, just like not hanging out with anybody
on an island.
It felt a little bit like like Julius Randle from the Knicks, because kind of like, and he wasn't like emotional about anything. It's not like he didn't look like he was having fun, enjoying watching people play and stuff. He was just kind of like deadpanning a bit, almost like it's like he wasn't there. Like he looked to me, and again, this might be like my own desires out of the team being projected onto to what I saw. But he looked like someone that was like, damn, this DeVito guy's about to take my job, And the only time that we saw somebody, I don't know who it was, but the only time that we saw somebody come over and talk to him, he like got on his shoulder. We obviously don't know what he said, but he like asked a question, and then he goes like, damn.
Yeah, it was
just walks away.
It was 55. I don't know who 55 on the Giants is, but 55 was the one that went up to him.
Let's use some forensics to figure this out.
Yeah.
55 New York Giants.
He's a linebacker, clearly, but I
Yeah.
don't know. And again, it was a member of the defense that walked over to
Yeah,
Tyrod
it's
Taylor. Not even
not even his team. You know what I mean?
exactly.
So yeah, for me, it's gonna be
Jihad Ward.
There you go.
Jihad Ward is number 55 on the Giants. He was the only person to give.
He's a compassionate fella.
Some
Yeah,
love.
I know.
You know.
He's like, I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, I would like
you
to
won't be
see
practice
Sills
squad.
in. So that's the thing. So like for receivers, I don't know, man. I really don't want to say this, but I think that Sterling Shepard might not really have, a spot. To be honest with you, I doubt that they cut him.
Yeah.
I think that Sills looks better than Shepard did last season. So personally, that's it for me. Corbin and Sills are the two. Corbin and Shepard are the ones that like. I know that might be a little bit of a hot take, but I like that they put Sterling Shepard in at as a punt returner. Maybe hopefully trying to find a spot for him that's not on the wide receiver room. But yeah, we'll see. So.
One thing I do want to mention, not on the cutting side, but more on the hey, this guy showed outside or this guy made his presence known side. Isaiah Simmons, who you guys just got, made his presence felt very, very quickly because he was the guy that pressured Aaron Rodgers into that awkward running moment. He forced fourth down, which was an excellent thing. But
which is he did his job.
He did his job, but he forced them into that moment where the collective group of Jet fans held his breath when Aaron Rodgers running to the sideline, awkwardly throwing the ball and tripping over his feet, and we were like, but
old man moment.
Yeah, but it wasn't so much tripping over his feet that Simmons got his hand on his toe. That's
but again,
like at first I was like, old man Rodgers can't even stand on his own feet. And then on the replay we see Simmons just ended up touching his toe, which is good for me.
Absolutely, because you know what, it gives you.
I want to see.
Yeah, it gives you a preview of what this guy can do because he's super versatile. I mean, when he was in Arizona, he not only played linebacker, but he played cornerback, he played safety. So this is a guy that, I think is going to excel in Wink Martindale's defensive scheme, right? Because you could place him anywhere on the field.
He's a defensive waller. He's a defensive waller.
So I just wanted to call him out,
No, yeah, but speaking of predictions, we have like our first official, the start of the season is going to be in a couple weeks. For us, the Giants, it's going to be September 10th. For you guys got the 9/11 game, but we both have Sunday night. We both have nighttime primetime games. We've got the Sunday night primetime. You guys got Monday Night Football. What are your quick thoughts? Super quick predictions on the games. Okay, obviously, you guys got the Bills, which we spoke about. We got the Cowboys. What do you guys think?
I think.
Go ahead, Jose. No, okay. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, no, I'm gonna, in honor of you, Walter, I'm gonna give both teams a big fat W in that first week. The Jets are gonna beat the Bills, I think, at home. We did it last year. I think that the rust is gonna show maybe early in the game, but I think the defense, this defense, as good as it was last year,
that defense is scary this year.
Yeah, this Jets defense is looking terrifying this year because, look, your second stringers, third stringers, whatever the hell, like our second stringers are going out there and outdoing first teamers like on other teams. And that's another reason why I was a little upset I didn't get to see some of the Giants first teamers this week, especially on defense, actually. But I think, for the Jets, it's going to be a big fat W that first week. And I think that the Giants are going to pull out a big fat W against their rivals, the Cowboys, in week 1 as well. I think the Giants are ready. I think Daniel Jones is ready. Saquon Barkley is ready. It's really going to come down to like how well the defense plays. I think they're going to have to hold on to the ball to like not have to struggle too much with depth. I think they're going to have to pass and run effectively on offense. But I think they can do it. I think I said it when we made our predictions about the schedule. I think the Cowboys are going to have a rough season. I don't know why. I know that everybody is predicting they're going to have a great season this year. I don't see it. I think Dak is going to lose that confidence finally. Like seeing this team, I mean, I don't know. But that's just me. I'm not going to get too into that. But I think it's going to be 2 W's for the Giants and the Jets.
Cool. Walt?
I think the Jets are going to struggle on Monday night. I think they're going to find a way to pull out the win, but I think it's not going to be their best performance. Just clearly off of what we saw with Aaron Rodgers, there's still some rust that he has to kind of knock off in terms of getting comfortable with his receivers and his offense. The offensive line hasn't played together. Yesterday, you got 4 out of the 5 starters. Dwayne Brown still hasn't shown up. Just because he came off of the pup list, right? So I think there's going to be some rough moments in that Bills game. I do believe that they have enough to pull it out, but it's not going to be an easy game for the Jets. It's going to be a lot harder than most people are going to think. In terms of the Giants, I'm kind of torn here because I want to say that the Giants win going away in this game, but it's all really going to boil down to like Jose said. It's going to boil down to the quarterback for the Cowboys. It's Prescott is an anomaly because there are times where he looks like he's a world beater, and there are times where he looks like what are you doing, brother? And it's hard to kind of tell what Dak you're going to get on any given Sunday.
Yeah.
So if he's on his game, he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. The problem is inconsistency with him. So I want to say that the Giants win, and I want to say that the Giants win pulling away, but it's and that's what I'm going to stick with. But it's hard with the Cowboys. It really, really is.
You think it's possibly a toss up?
No, I think the Giants are actually a better team here. I think
Right,
they
right,
should win.
Right.
I just it really depends on what Dak you're gonna get.
Yeah.
You know.
So consistency being the theme here, I think that that's what I see with the Giants. Separating myself from my own fandom, I think that it depends on what Dak shows up, but I think it also depends on what defense for us shows up.
Yes.
Because I think that if you have a good Dak, that our defense might still our defense still has a lot of like little things they need to kind of click on and clean up. And what it is that our defense isn't that consistent. I know that our O line is probably like our weakest unit, but the defense I think is where we have some inconsistencies. Sometimes they're on point. They got pressure. They got coverage. They seem veteran, and sometimes they look like rookies. Get out of here, cat. Move. Got it. I'm not concerned at all with the offense. I think that we have so many weapons that we're really going to get a chance to probably even see a shootout. So I think it's either going to be a high scoring shootout that the Giants win, or or rather a Giants high score win where our defense shows up and Dak gets pressured and out of rhythm, or it's a very high scoring game where Dak possibly shows up and the defense kind of falters. So that's why I said toss up previously when you were talking, because I think it might even be a little bit of a toss up in that first week, which I'm okay with. It's the first 4 games. As much as I want to win every single game, and on paper I do believe that we can win the first 3 games. I know that it's things are still up in the air with the team, so I'm gonna edge it out for the Giants, but possible loss. And with the Jets, I don't want to be the negative Nancy here. Okay, I don't. Okay, but I think that from the Bills' perspective, you got one of the toughest defenses in the league going out there and trying to make a team that's still not maybe fully comfortable with each other yet more uncomfortable. And I think that you're going to see the Jets offense pressured quite a bit.
I agree with that.
And I think it's going to be like a low scoring game, and it's a matter of can they keep Josh Allen at bay, which I think that they can. especially considering that we didn't talk about this, but Mekhi Becton looked real good, and he was officially named starting right tackle. So and that's going to do wonders for his confidence. And in that first game, you're going to see, I think Mekhi Becton's going to have like a big game in that first game, because he's going to want to kind of show that he deserved being named a starter in that first game.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that that there may be some little kinks that Aaron Rodgers and the squad needs to kind of work out on offense. Defense, I'm not worried about, and that's kind of what I think the name of the game is going to be for this one. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers, who still needs to work out the kinks, versus Josh Allen, who has all his kinks worked out with already. So,
right.
That being said, I think the Bills edge it out, but just like the Giants and the Cowboys, I think it could go either way. So, but my official prediction is going to be a win for the Giants, a loss for the Jets.
They're going to
And then the
institute
Jets are going to go off and run away with the rest of the season after creating some drama and making everybody think like, oh no, it's not going to work. Doom and gloom. We're Jets fans. Of course it won't work.
It's in
You
the
guys are
script.
going to be fine, even if
That's how it is in the script. It's going to be
Exactly.
one loss and then 16 straight wins.
Yeah, right.
According to the script right here.
Yeah. All right. Well, so I think that does it for us. I think that was I'm excited. I can't wait. We are going to take a little bit of time off. There's no football really to talk about unless something crazy happens. Please, nothing crazy happen between now and day one. But otherwise, we'll catch you guys when the season starts. Don't forget to like, rate, share, and subscribe. Hit that comment button at the bottom. Thank you guys for joining.
All right, people. And as always, go Giants.
Go Giants.
Go Jets.
I can't say that. It's so uncomfortable. Why are you making me say that? Ugh.
It is the blue versus green show.
Ugh.
All right. Later, people.